This is Hidden Killers Week in Review.
A look back at the most prolific stories of the week.
This is Hidden Killers Live with Tony Brueski, Stacey Cole, and Todd Michaels.
All right. This is a case that we have been covering for quite some time. A lot of people have been covering for quite some time. And we're going to dig deeper into it again today because it needs some attention. The Ellen Greenberg case, as you've probably been following around and along for a while, you know, the parents of Ellen Greenberg are supposed to be getting this investigation reopened, looking at it a little bit further, deeper down. That's at least what the courts have said. Have the authorities followed through? The investigators followed through on any of that, any of the follow-up, any of the, yes, we're going to look at this further? Of course they haven't, because it's Philadelphia. And that's how it works in Philadelphia. When you don't want something to happen, it doesn't happen. So for those of you new to this case, welcome. This is going to blow your mind. And I want to say first, before we jump into it, we're going to hear a lot of things. We're going to hear a 911 call from her ex-fiance. We're going to hear a lot of evidence that doesn't look all that positive for her ex-fiance. But I need to say her ex-fiance has never been charged with anything. He's living his life. This was many, many years ago. He's a TV producer, has a family. Again, never been charged with any sort of crime. So in no way, shape, or form, through any of the evidence that we're presenting today, are we suggesting that he in any way is the murderer of Ellen Greenberg. We're going to let you guys make that decision. We're going to let you take the evidence and in your mind go, this seems completely implausible. Nothing to see here. What are you guys talking about? That's crazy. Or, this is weird. But I just want to make that very clear off the bat. Samuel Goldberg never charged with anything, nor are we saying that he has done anything. Everything here is alleged. There's your disclaimer at the front. But we're going to talk about the facts of this case, whether anyone likes it or not, because this case needs to be examined. So to begin, this story starts where snow is coming down in Philadelphia. The kind that cancels school and buys you a rare quiet afternoon, a nor'easter to be exact, meaning it's not just a little couple flurries. This is a big snowstorm, one of the biggest that they had in quite some time. And Ellen Greenberg, who is an elementary teacher, does what any 27-year-old teacher might do on a surprise snow day. She heads home, sends a couple texts about relaxing, starts a snack on the counter. Nothing about the day feels strange or shows a woman spiraling. No note, no digital breadcrumbs pointing to a plan, just life mid-stride. Okay? And then everything breaks. Her fiance, Sam Goldberg, says he leaves for the gym around 4:45 p.m. and comes back an hour later to a swing bar latch set from the inside. And we'll take a look at that evidence in just a little bit. And instead of calling 911 when he can't get into the apartment, because he's there, this is his story, is that he gets there, and I'm paraphrasing this, tries to open the door. It's latched from the inside. He can't get in. So he starts sending a flurry of texts at 4:45 when he can't get in to Ellen. Hello, open the door. And you better have an excuse. You better have an excuse for what?
Yeah, she's dead.
For what? Minutes tick by. Irritation reads louder than panic. And when the door is finally forced open, Ellen is found on the kitchen floor, seated, a 10-inch knife buried to the hilt of her chest, and a white towel in her hand. Blood on her shirt, 20 stab wounds, 10 to the back of her neck and head, 11 unexplained bruises in various stages of healing. No hesitation marks at all. So let that sink in. Let's just pause there for a second, everyone, because I know, Todd, this might be the first time you're absorbing this story. Mm-hmm. I know, Stacey, we've talked about it a little bit here and there. What's your reaction when you hear someone stabbed 20-some times? Do you go to homicide or suicide? What's the natural reaction?
I don't mean to laugh. I don't mean to laugh. So forgive me. I know that sounds really crass, but it's laughable to think that this woman killed herself.
Yes.
Because let's just give her 5 stab wounds. You know, she's depressed. She is feeling like I can't go on anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just grant her 5 that she could get through.
Sure.
In the chest and the neck and the head. So how do you account for the other 15?
How do you account for 1?
But I told you, let's give her a little grace. Let's give her 5, None of this story makes sense. There is no way in my brain that no, that's not what this was.
Number one, it's not what it was. It's a physical impossibility. Yeah. Because what they're asking you to believe is that the woman came back from the dead and stabbed herself, because some of the stab wounds were post-mortem.
Well, right. Because
so
maybe she just turned into a zombie after all of this.
Yes.
And said, I've got more to do.
This might be the first example of a zombie coming back to life, if in fact this is in fact, it would have to be. We have a real zombie here, if we're to believe the official report from the Philadelphia police and the medical examiner, is that Ellen Greenberg is the first documented zombie to come back from the dead and continue to stab herself in places that she couldn't, because she would have been completely disabled by the severing of her spine.
You think?
In the areas where the knife impeded her flesh into her body, into her spinal column, it would have made movement damn near impossible.
Correct.
And here's another fun fact. People don't tend to stab themselves.
That's what I was going to say. That's if you're going to off yourself, stabbing would not be the one that most people would choose.
No.
Guns maybe you slit your wrists or something like that. Sorry to say that out loud, but stabbing yourself?
Yeah.
Come on.
No, I mean, it's just facts. It is what it is. And female stabbing themselves, add that to the mix.
I was going to add the female component, because I think if it tends to be that men are a little bit more violent in this type of situation.
Well, it's not even the violence. It's the vanity of it.
True.
Statistically, women are not going to partake in a suicide that harms them physically in terms of looks, if you will. This was not that. This was, she stabbed herself in the head, and the neck, and half of these stab wounds in the back.
Again, ever since we came up with this story, I'm sorry. That was very bad phrasing. Ever since that we addressed this story years ago, I even grabbed a butter knife in my kitchen and tried to get the same trajectory. And I'm very flexible. I practice yoga. I can't get back to where she went. They've got a model showing exactly how this knife impacted her neck. And you can't get that angle with an elbow. It has to come from behind.
Yeah, it's again, all these things very impossible. And that's why I want to just kind of establish off the bat as we kind of work through this, because what I'm going to say, how I'm going to explain this is how it's been tried to be explained by the medical examiner and such. And there's been a lot of walk back over the years too, and we'll get to all that. We're also going to get to the 911 call in just a few moments here. By the next morning, the medical examiner called the injuries what they suggest: a homicide. So the medical examiner comes and says, it's a homicide. I mean, a 5-year-old could have told you it was a homicide.
Right.
That should have really frozen the scene in time. I mean, this was a crime scene that he walked into. Was it ever handled like a crime scene when someone is stabbed 20 times? Not at all. Not at all. It should have been locked down, lit up with forensic lights, canvas, neighbors, fingerprints on everything. Instead, the narrative veers very, very fast. Police start talking suicide. The apartment is not treated like a murder scene. Cleanup is authorized. Yeah, professional cleanup crews are allowed to come in
right away.
The fiance and his uncle, who's a high-powered legal individual in Philadelphia, they managed to get a cleanup crew in there, and And the high power individual takes all the digital stuff, all the computers, all that gone, because he wants to make sure it's safe for her. He does return it. They do request it back. But chain of custody, you can't do that sort of thing. And he knows better than that. A lot of weird inconsistencies here. Within weeks under pressure and after consultations, even those involved in the later struggle to document the manner of death flips to suicide. So because of the pressure, the police, the behind the curtain conversations, medical examiner is essentially pressured into changing the ruling to suicide. The public is told to accept what the wounds do not explain. It's not just a story about a locked door. It's a story about the first 48 hours, how choices made between January 26 and February 1st, 2011 set the trajectory for everything that followed. A family blindsided, a city divided, and a case file that still doesn't reconcile with the physics of the human body.
Want more on this case and others? Then press subscribe now and don't miss a moment of true crime coverage from Tony Brueski and the Hidden Killers podcast.